Well, it's about goddamn time. Hopefully, after this matchup, we can be able to get into very, very big conversations in the super welterweight division, that being the 154-pound division of boxing. And in about 2 weeks, we are going to get a matchup between Erickson Lubin versus Vergil Ortiz. And I think this is going to be an underrated, low key banger. A really, really good matchup for both of these guys to be able to propel themselves, both in their careers, for the way that they wanted to be able to go into. Completely butchered that, but it is what it is. First things first, before even getting into talking about this fight, Floyd Schofield was supposed to be on this card going against Joseph Jojo Diaz, who has been on a very big losing streak, but had a really good performance against Regis Prograis, knocking him down, wobbling him all over the place. And, Jojo Diaz is not really known for having a lot of power, but, I mean, the chin of Prograis is literally gone. It's literally at a nub as of right now. It's not even a rock anymore. He was supposed to go against him, and he sprained his wrist. So, unfortunately, another pullout for Floyd Schofield. But he probably would have dominated Joseph Diaz and probably would have got him out of there very quickly if the matchup did happen. But whatever. It's not going to happen. Anyways, we're just going to talk about this main event. The rest of that card is not much to hit home about. So, yeah, Lubin, Ortiz, we get into it. Erickson Lubin is a mid to above mid competition that you need to be able to worry about. In the southpaw stance, he can play spoiler, especially him first coming up in his career. He was looking like he was going to be a potential star in the making in the box of his boxing career, and then he met Jermall Charlo. Yeah, I don't think it was Jermell. Jermell fights at 168, now 175. Believe it was Jermall Charlo. And he got stopped. He got knocked out by an uppercut that completely flattened him out cold in that matchup. So it stunted his star growth, and especially so early in his career and early in Charlo's career as well. Really a high-level prospect matchup between those two guys to really see who's going to be rising as a star in that division later on. But since that loss that he's had, he been on a nice win streak, getting wins over guys like Terrell Gasha, getting wins over a guy like Jason Rosario, who was holding the belts, I believe one or two belts. He had the win over Julian Williams. And after that, Rosario lost to Charlo around COVID time. So I believe that it was this after he lost to Charlo. He got matched up with Lubin. But that's another good win because he just recently came off, that being Rosario, having those title belts that he was having. And then he ran into Sebastian Fundora. He had some success against Fundora, but eventually just wilted under the pressure and the power that Fundora was able to unleash, like ungodly amount of punishment on his face, having him look like, I don't know, man. His face was all messed up, all jacked up right in front of his forehead. There was a lot of swelling going on. And since then, he's beat against Luis Arias, who's been here and there, but is a name. A win that really aged like fine wine. A win over Jesus Alejandro Ramos. Controversial. Could be going here or there. A lot of people are thinking that, he possibly lost that matchup, was getting pressured a lot, but Ramos really didn't land anything clean. Lubin was boxing effectively and looking like that he was getting more off of the cleaner punches against a guy like Ramos. I did think that Lubin did win that matchup off first viewing against Ramos, I'll be honest. And last timeout for Erickson Lubin, he got a TKO win over Ardreal Holmes, who kind of a prospect, was undefeated at the time, but he got a nice win over him. And for Vergil Ortiz, we already know him as a prospect, now trying to be getting himself into that superstardom type of talk for himself. Having some decent wins over names like Antonio Orozco, Maurice Hooker. You got a win over Edius Kavalauskas, Mean Machine. The guy that got knocked out by Terrence Crawford, but possibly knocked Terrence Crawford down if they didn't, rule that as a slip. But really, the last two wins for Vergil Ortiz have been the real mainstay wins for himself in his career. Sergey Bohachuk, they went to an absolute war. That was razor close. Razor close. Got dropped a few times. Not severely hurt and wobbled in that matchup against Bohachuk, but he did get dropped. They do count as knockdowns, and he just beat it out. I mean, maybe you were talking about favoritism, home cooking. Ortiz is the bigger star and more known, and they want to be able to promote him and push him more often. You could be able to go that way, but the fight was very close nonetheless, and it was a banger. And now we know Bohachuk, even though he is coming off a loss most recently in his career to another guy that he recently just lost to earlier in his career, that being I think Brandon Adams. I think is the guy who just beat him. Bohachuk is still a problem. Bohachuk can give it to you at a night and maybe even come in and have a loss, but he'll come in and you'll get your money's worth. Bohachuk is nothing to be able to scoff at. And same thing as Israel Madrimov. Madrimov, the only loss besides obviously Ortiz on his career is Terrence Crawford, and he gave a lot of issues to Terrence Crawford in another close fight that I think Crawford edged out for sure over Madrimov, but was a close fight nonetheless. And it was less of a close contest against Ortiz because I think Ortiz presents a different type of style than Terrence Crawford does. But Vergil Ortiz, being a youngster in his career and having those wins and going through that type of adversity and going through those type of wars that he's gone through with guys like Bohachuk and Madrimov and not getting those easy KOs that he usually has been getting early on in his career. He's a KO machine for sure and has 21 KOs out of 23 victories that he has so far in his career. But now he's able to show once he ups in terms of competition, he's able to be able to last longer throughout his career and get those type of wins that actually pull them off in decision factory and not just really lean on to the power shots and lean on to always getting knockouts. This is, I think, a very good matchup for Vergil Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz, yes, has the KO power, but he does have a lot of skill. He does have a lot of skill. I do think that he is beatable, but it's going to take a supreme talent to be able to beat Vergil Ortiz. And you're going to have a great night at the office if you're Erickson Lubin trying to be able to get this one through. Again, Lubin is more of a boxer, puncher style. He does have some pop into his left hand, and you do need to be able to worry about what he's throwing towards your way. And he's very slick, but he's more of a boxer. He can be able to stay on the outside. He's not looking for a dog fight like a Bohachuk or a Madrimov. He is more of a slick outside, just picking his shots, doing the thing that he needs to be able to do so to get the job done, and really not get in those type of fashions of wars that he got into, like in the loss that he had against Fundora, and learning his lesson and actually taking a step back and being more defensively responsible. I think if he wants to be able to get a win, like how he did against Jesus Alejandro Ramos, I think he has to be able to follow that same game plan that he did. Make it a little bit more obvious if he wants to be able to get this type of win over Vergil Ortiz. But I don't think he does. I think that eventually Vergil Ortiz gets a knockout victory over Erickson Lubin in a closely contested matchup. I do think that Lubin will have success. He will win rounds, and he will frustrate Vergil Ortiz every now and then because, again, Ortiz has hired his level of competition, but not in terms of a defensive style boxer guy that's been going in there and trying to be able to, I'm not going to say run away, but really be on his bike, have good lateral movement, and be able to pick his spots appropriately. He's been going against guys like Bohachuk and Madrimov who have been quiet in front of his face and been there to be able to get hit and get his pieces off. But Vergil Ortiz, man, I think is a great talent. And if he does get a win over a guy like Erickson Lubin, his resume is stacking up pretty nice. It's stacking up pretty good, if we're being quite honest. Doesn't have absolute tremendous names like top tier and talent or household names in terms of boxing value, but the names that he is stacking up to be able to get to those top tier elite names, they're none to be able to scoff at. They're actually nothing to be able to really look at and be like, wow, you beat Bohachuk, wow, you beat Madrimov, wow, you beat Lubin. Those are names that you can be able to look at and be, happy with because they're solid. And if they're not solid, they're actually very good, as well as Mean Machine. That's another great win for him. But the reason why I'm going with Vergil Ortiz is I just think that he's able to catch him. I think he's able to get the job done over Erickson Lubin. Lubin can lapse sometimes defensively, and whenever he's got up to the top tier type of level, he's gotten stopped. He got knocked out by Charlo. He got stopped by Fundora. And yes, he did have a good, I wouldn't say good, but he did have a good enough performance against Jesus Alejandro Ramos to be able to, edge out a victory in that one. But I just think Vergil Ortiz is a different level of talent and skill. No diss to Jesus Alejandro Ramos. I just think that Ortiz is just a better overall fighter, a better version of a Jesus Ramos. So I'm going to go with Vergil Ortiz on this one by knockout, probably in the 10th round. But I do give Lubin a chance. I will give Lubin a chance. Lubin has some pop. He's been there. He's done that. This is a big chance for him in his career to be able to prop himself back up into being the star that a lot of people potentially seen him first coming into his career. So Lubin has a shot. This is definitely not one of those, oh, for sure, Ortiz is just going to run through him. Lubin will have some success. And if he does come out with a victory, I don't think that it should come out as a huge shock. But, again, I think Vergil Ortiz, as a huge favorite, as a huge favorite, should come out on top on this one against Lubin. Obviously, like this video. If you obviously like this video, comment your opinions on what you think about this fight, how you think it goes down, and who you think is going to come out victorious on this one. You got the underdog Lubin, or obviously the star-fronted young man Vergil Ortiz coming out on top and getting another KO on his resume, and that would be a great KO to be plastered on his resume as well. And subscribe. If you're a boxing fan, you're here, you continue to be here, and I love that you're continuing to be here because you're beautiful, you're amazing, and why not stay around because you're awesome. Thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.